Yo, what's going on, everyone? It is Baze here, and today I'm here to start the Mythic Plus series for Season 1 of Midnight. And today we'll be starting with Magister's Terrace. I will be explaining all the important cash you need to kick, all the mobs you need to focus, and all the important boss mechanics as well throughout every dungeon. So, as you can see here, we have a first pack. The important cash you want to kick here is the Arcane Magister's Polymorph. You also want to kick the bolts when you can, but the polymorph I would say is the most important thing to kick here. You will also have the Prio Mob, which is the Arcane Sentry. He just focuses you down. He picks a random target, puts a beam on them, and then he also puts shields as well. As you can see, Arcane Beam here, it just targets you. So you just don't want to stand still for too long because there will be a puddle it puts underneath you. And that is the first pack. After that pack, you're going to want to run where the statue is. It's a fake wall. You just run through it, and then you will chain around 3 packs here, and you will also kick the Bolt cast and Polymorph cast again from the Arcane Magister. So those are the important mobs in this pack. There's 2 of them, if I remember correctly, and that is it for that. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now, something I haven't seen a lot of people be doing on beta is there's a little book here. It gives a 10% haste buff. You just click on it, and then after that, you will have a little puzzle you walk through. You want to make sure you dodge all of these dotted lines around these mobs, as it will throw you back to the start. It's pretty annoying, so just make sure you don't step in those mobs patrolling, and you are good to go. The next important mob here is the Pyromancer. He is after this little small group of ads. You'll pull him. He just casts Ignition, and he will also have a cast you want to make sure you kick. The Flame Strike you want to make sure you dodge as well. It just puts a pool of fire on the ground. Nothing too crazy. And then the cast you want to kick is Pyroblast. And those are the mechanics. It's just a like small little mini boss ad. It's not even really a mini boss, but yeah, just make sure you heal through the Ignition. That's a healer mechanic. Dodge the Fire Puddle, and kick the Pyroblast. So next up, we have the first boss, Arcanotron Custos. He will do a Pulsing Slam. This mechanic knocks back the tank. And then you will also have Arcane Expulsion, which leaves the Arcane Puddle on the ground, and it knocks back the entire group. You want to make sure if there are any ads in this area before you pull the boss, make sure you kill them so you don't accidentally aggro them during this fight. He will repeat these same 2 mechanics twice, so you'll have 2 puddles on the ground. And that is how you know the third mechanic, which is basically the intermission, is going to start. The boss will be AFK, so you want to make sure you cannot move the boss during this. It is called Refueling Protocol. So before you cast this, make sure you drag him out of the puddles. Everyone will need to soak Arcane Orbs coming in, so make sure you have room on all sides for everyone to soak. And they leave Arcane puddles on the ground as well after you soak them. So just make sure you are evenly distributing the soaks. I'm sure you can immune soak it. You know, maybe you'll just assign a paladin in the group if there is one, or whoever has an immune up as well. And that is the entire fight. It's a pretty straightforward, simple fight. I'm sure in the high end of keys, you'll probably pull the ads with the boss. But for now, you know, just be on the safe end and make sure you kill all the ads around here before pulling the boss. And that is it for that fight. Alright, so let's talk about the Rune Spellbreaker. This is after the first boss. You will see this mob a lot throughout the dungeon after the first boss. This Rune Spellbreaker puts Runic Glaive on 2 players, and it trucks. It does a buttload of damage. So you just want to make sure if you can use a defensive, healing pot, whatever you can to help your healer out. And there'll also be swirls on the ground as well that he throws out. You just dodge those. It's pretty straightforward. I can see here our healer is dying to Runic Glaive, and yeah, it does a lot of damage. So, like I said, make sure you're kicking any Arcane Magister's Arcane Bolt as well, or the Polymorph that it cast. And as you can see, the Glaive went on the healer again, and they died. So, just make sure you have all your healing here. It does a lot. So, just be prepared. Alright, next up we have the second boss of the dungeon, Seranel Sunlash. Seranel Sunlash will put 2 runic marks on players. For the start of the fight, you're not going to have anywhere to put them. But throughout the fight, the boss will put down a suppression zone. So what you do is you will run into the suppression zone with this debuff. Make sure you are doing it not at the same time because it does a nasty group-wide damage. So just make sure you are not going in with the other person at the same time because you will kill your group very easily. And then after this happens twice, there will also be swirlies on the ground you want to make sure you dodge. But after that happens, the boss will do a big cast, Wave of Silence, and you want to make sure you are in the suppression zone like 1 second before the silence cast finishes. Otherwise, you will be silenced. I think it's 5 to 6 seconds. It is a very long silence, so whatever you do, just to make sure you don't mess that up, and you are good to go. You just rinse and repeat, and that is it. Now, after you kill the boss, you want to make sure you come up here and click on this staff that is in the little table. Make sure everyone's clicking it. You need to get it to 100% to start the next area. And you will just turn around after you fill this, and there will be a bunch of mobs. Now, what is important for you to know here is the Hallowfall Shredders. They, like, assassinate you throughout the dungeon, so they'll be like hopping behind you and trying to stab you from behind. So just make sure you're aware of that. Use it offensive if you get low. And then you will have the Dreadful Voidwalkers. You just want to make sure you interrupt their cast. And that is it so far. Just make sure you kick the bolts. The next important mob you need to know about is the Shadow Rift Voidcaller. This is the Prio mob. Make sure you are focused on this mob at all times. He will spawn little voidlings. And if these voidlings are up during his consuming shadows, it will do pulsing damage the more voidlings that are out. So it will increase. I can see now, there's no voidlings out right now, and it is already chucking. So whatever you do, make sure you delete these voidlings as fast as possible. Otherwise, your group will wipe numerous times to this. It happened to me plenty of times on beta. My group's not focusing it. And the next mob after that is these Void Terrors. They will have a cast you need to kick called Terror Wave. If you do not kick that, you will get feared on CD. Especially if you pull multiple of these. It is the most annoying thing, I think, out of all these dungeons. Especially when people are going to be learning the first few weeks. The Void Terrors, I think, are going to kill groups probably the most. Especially if they're not kicking Terror Wave. It's just really annoying to get feared, because especially when you pull 3 of them at once, if you let one go off, the next 2 are going to go off, and you're just chain feared. So unless you're a warrior, then you can obviously get rid of the fear. But yeah, just make sure you guys kick the Terror Wave. That is my pro tip for this dungeon. Now the next important mob you need to know about is Devouring Tyrant. He does a nasty Devouring Strike on the tank. As you can see here, my tank just got hit by that, and he lost half his health. Actually, all of his health. He only had an absorb on him that kept him alive. So, just make sure when you're tanking that you pay attention for that strike. And if you're a healer, use whatever external you can on your tank. The first few weeks, I think that's going to kill a lot of tanks because they're not going to be aware of the damage from that. But just a little heads up there, it hurts. Now, the third boss for this dungeon is Gemellus, I think is how you say his name. It is a giant jellyfish, and throughout the encounter, he will be spawning miniature versions of himself. He will have a cast that puts pools on the ground, and then he will also cast Neuralink. Now, what Neuralink does is I didn't get it here, but there'll be an arrow on you on which ad you need to run to, and you just run into that ad. You straight just like touch it one for one. And then he'll also do Astral Grasp. I can see here, I stood in the puddle during Astral Grasp. You do not want to do that. It trucks. It also does a buttload of damage if you stand into that. And then he will also cast Triplicate, which will spawn more of miniature versions of him. And I believe I do get the mechanic here. So as you see, Cosmic Sting, this is the one that leaves the puddle under you. So just make sure you're aware and you don't stand inside of it. And then here is where the mechanic comes, Neuralink. You'll see here I get an arrow telling me which ad to run into. you just go and touch the ad and it gets rid of the shield on the ad. Now, ideally, for maximum damage, you want to make sure you tank this ad near as many miniature versions of itself as possible. And it is kind of hard. You can see which way you're going to get pulled. There's like a little tentacle coming out of you, a little void tentacle telling you which direction you're about to get pulled. So just make sure you're paying attention to that so you don't die and get one shot by the pool underneath the ads / boss. And it's just rinse and repeat after that. I imagine as this scales, maybe you'll run out of room. I'm not sure, but just be safe where you're putting the puddles. Ideally, you want to kind of stack them together if possible or on one side. And that's it. You just rinse and repeat and make sure you clear the shields on the ads. Now, we finally have the final boss of the dungeon. Everything up to here is just the ads are all the ads you've seen already. So all we have left to talk about is the final boss, Degentrius. Degentrius, I think is how you pronounce it. The gist of this fight is you need to have all players each in their own little triangle location. As you can see, there's 4 beams coming out connecting to these little pillars. You do not want to touch those lines. Make sure you're in your own little quadrant. And this is basically a game of hot potato and dodgeball. So you're going to see there's a little swirly puddle going into everyone's zone. As you see, it's coming to me right now. You need to make sure you soak this, and it'll bounce between zones. Sometimes it'll bounce into your zone twice. You just soak it back to back. And then you'll also get these spheres that come out from you. So you want to make sure you're looking around. Make sure you don't get hit by those. Move out of the way. And it's just pretty much rinse and repeat. So it's just basically a hot potato where you soak the orb coming into your quadrant when it comes. And then you also dodge the orbs coming out from your teammates or from yourself. One good thing about this is you don't have to worry if you are moving. These will not kill you, if you're moving. For what I mean by that is, let's say you're running forward and the orbs are about to get removed off of you and they're about to be casted off from you. You will be okay. You won't kill yourself by moving. As you can see, I got it twice here in mine, by the way, in my quadrant. So you just soak it twice. And you see as I'm moving here, the orbs didn't hit me. It doesn't come from your body. It actually comes like 5 yards out from your body. So you'll be safe. You can move with it. It's fine. Just make sure you don't hit anyone in your group and you'll be good. So that is Magister's Terrace. That is the first key for the season that I'll be talking about. I'll be doing the other 7 throughout the week and before midnight releases. So if you found this helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and look up for the next one. I hope you guys have a great day.